Supermarkets, the evil monopoly. Supermarkets were born for the only purpose to gather more money from different subjects of the whole food supply and demand system. If at the beginning the supermarket invention seemingly was unnoticeable of being an incubator with an evil goal, the reality shows that instead the now manifested and visible evil nature was already present in its first steps. It just had to take years before doing the last step and take off the mask and reveal blatantly and arrogantly its own fraudulent and evil nature. Since the beginning, on purpose, supermarkets were created to erase every other reality inherent to the food system. So every mom and pop local grocery store, specified artisans and sellers of specified goods of the food production. So to eliminate butchers, fishmongers, fruit and vegetable sellers as greengrocers of fruiterers, bakeries, pastry sellers as confectioners. So to eliminate every specific craft and selling reality that was linked to the real needs, dignity and health of the population, to forge a closed system in which the needs of the population started to be replaced or social engineered with a purpose of controlling them on the long term. Skimpflation, shrinkflation, greedflation, skewflation, many of those aspects that we're gonna explain, were already present in other shapes in the first supermarkets. There was just a field to be prepared in order to force then those last measures. Shrinkflation is planned by making pay the consumer the same price but for having back every time smaller amount of product, concealed in many ways to fraud the consumer that he buy the same amount of before. Greedflation is planned by making seems normal to pay more a product, so, even if the national average price is lower, many make you pay higher even if is not necessary at all. Skewflation is planned by creating an artificial idea of a market instability even when there isn't any sign of it, and is made by making sharply raise the prices of certain goods or sectors, meanwhile the prices of others remain stable or even decline. Skimpflation is planned by lowering the quality of the food and sell it at the same price it had before when was instead of good quality. So for example, if for years we bought 1 liter of Merlot wine of good quality at the price of 10, suddenly we are gonna find the same bottle of wine with the same brand that collapsed badly on the quality of the content, but it have the same price of when was good to drink. Skimpflation could be called even mass-scale economy, where industries to gain more money starts to cut into the product's other waste materials that the industry creates from other processes. So, for example, if it seems over-exaggerated and complicated to put into a loaf of bread so much ingredients of so many different chemical nature, on a large scale is easy cause to buy citric acid, different agents as calcium silicate, kaolin sand, is cheaper than to make the bread with only flour that per tons it costs much more than to cut it with those chemicals cheaper per tons toxic ingredient. So with skimpflation we will gonna find that the bread we bought before at the price of 5 now still costs 5, but it is fake bread cause is filled with different chemical toxic ingredients and is indigestible and low nutritious, so we would even need to buy and eat more for having the same nutrient of before. Skimpflation is not so recent and were present or prepared early in supermarkets with the technique of the artificial good on the shelf. The artificial good is something that cannot exist, either in nature, either in price. Is the classic product that you see on many shelves which nobody buys, but even if nobody buys it, still remains on the shelves forever and is even replaced with a new one when it expire. The artificial good purpose is not for be sold, but as a bait for lowering the quality of all the goods. For example, the wine bottle sold for €2 is something that cannot exist either in nature, either in price. The cost of the glass bottle, the labels, the label tax, the cork, the cover of the cork, the wine, the shipping, the state tax on the selling, and on all of this it have to profit either the supermarket, makes clear that this bottle of wine cannot exist, and is only a matter of having a contractor that keep the shelves with a cheap product, to then operate in the future the skimpflation, so this wine will replace at one point the one that cost more, and the wine of quality will disappear from the market. So not only skimpflation, but I will create a new term called vanishflation, when not only what is on sale have now a lowering in quality sold at the same price of when was good, but there is a climbing of the whole set of products for make vanish the product with high or good quality. So if you paid €20 for 10 out of 10 wine, and €10 for a 6 out of 10 wine, and €4 for a 4 out of 10 wine. Now you pay €20 for a 6 out of 10 wine, and €10 for a 4 out of 10 wine, and the 10 out of 10 wines simply vanish and cannot be found anymore in the market. So with the artificial good, with the artificial prize, they made to disappear all the mom and pop store. To then, when having now the monopoly to set the new normality to full industrial toxic production of goods, where they can do everything they want by not having any competitor either on the business side, either on the good side. This is not only about money. Is social engineering to control and shape society to accept what is unacceptable. Clearly visible few years ago when they tried to promote cockroaches as food and laboratory meat as a substitute to real meat, and so to downgrade the population to animals, easy to control and to replace. Supermarkets are one of the most influential monopoly for social engineering. There's still a lot to say about the evil nature of them to shape citizens into consumers. Just few mentions or the video will be too long. Going into supermarkets, it ends now in just being insulted all along the way. Everything is set through many unrequested traps and baits to transform on purpose the customer into a consumer, so subjected to more of those traps, it ends to be automatically judged as a consumer many times, and from a customer, it ends becoming cattle to be guided. Prices at .99 on every product, it's a judgment on you as treating you as a consumer. Music through the other monopoly reached by the same people, become an insult, making customers become consumers as cattle and animals, with now obscene songs and every kind of cry that could be analog to chimpanzees. The method of payments with round up and round down applied on certain amounts of cents, to sometimes steal more cents or sometimes give more cents. It happens cause through statistic, with those cents adjustments that seems random and unrelated, they actually round up yearly even few thousands of euro, satisfying once more their greed and by making once more the customer a consumer. In Germany, they even make you gain money from the plastic bottles. This is linked with the social engineering of the recycling religion monopoly, for making accepting through positive reinforcement the acceptance of having garbage as the main source of everything, instead of not having garbage at all. Products in supermarkets are displaced on purpose for baiting the customers, so treated for the fifth time as consumers. Supermarkets' initial goal was even to cut out on purpose all the local producers of goods, to erase the small producers linked to the territory, so with higher quality products. Small producers cannot grant the standard packaging and distribution the industry has set on purpose. With yearly modification and updates and laws connected now even to the recycling religion monopoly, so to make impossible to withstand to any small producer, for either the costs, either the time and effort. Supermarkets are now a monopoly. This means it's impossible to reach anymore the customers now transformed into consumers. Only through authorization of the supermarket monopoly, one can reach and sell their product. This is exactly a state within a state setting the rules of what the consumers can and should buy and how they live. Supermarket monopoly set even the standards of the bigger producers that don't go in line with the agenda of the main monopoly owners. For example, the known incident of Walmart and Rubbermaid. A typical example of what monopoly can do, in which Walmart at one point refused to pay a certain amount the plastic storage containers made by Rubbermaid, to force Rubbermaid to skimpflate on his own product and use cheaper plastic. But Rubbermaid refused to lower the quality of their products, and with that answer Walmart decided to ban all the Rubbermaid products from their shelves. And with the impossibility to reach any more a big market, Rubbermaid went on failing and become acquired by another company that operated to downgrade the plastic as Walmart wanted. This is common procedure when a monopoly is reached. Monopoly means that there is only one output to the consumers, and so the monopoly can dictate anything it wants, even making failing entire brands that don't find any more the shelf space to sell their own product. Is even possible the acquisition through lateral brands or house of brands and other registered unknown names linked to the conglomerate or monopoly company, to make it appear unlinked and as an unrelated event. Supermarket monopoly means there are only those few copy-pasted shelves all over the nation and continent, and nobody can reach those shelves anymore to sell or buy things different from the agenda decided from the monopoly.